Karen Peabody from Forgewell Solutions talking to Lindsay Marble. She is a therapist at Forgewell Solutions, and she sees adolescents and teens. And we are just going to talk about a couple of tips for people to kind of get through this super hard time in quarantine at home, waiting for the world to open up.
Sounds good. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of adolescents and teens in particular. I know that this time has been really stressful, and a lot of teens and adolescents have been experiencing a lot of anxiety and depression, and they've just been needing some help learning how to manage, their emotions, and especially not being connected socially to their friends in the outside world. I think has been really challenging for a lot of people.
So what do you think? I liked it. We kind of had a conversation before we went live, and you were giving me some ideas, and you broke it down into 3 parts. I really liked that. So I was wondering, can you share the 3 parts that you broke it down to?
Yeah, so, different ways to handle stress. I really do feel like there's like 3 components that are super important. The first, I'll just name them right off the top. So our body, mind, and soul. And then I just wanted to briefly discuss a few tips kind of under each component. So I'll start with the body. I think it's very important to establish a healthy sleeping pattern. Obviously, when the kiddos are in school, they may have like a bedtime, or they may be used to going to bed around the same time, waking up the same time, especially since they've been going to school. So I do think it's super important to try to maintain a regular sleeping pattern if possible. Another tip would be to move your body. Obviously, it's been a little challenging, but I encourage a lot of the adolescents and teens that I meet with, even if it's doing wall push-ups right inside your home, jumping jacks, squats, anything that is doable at home, I think is a really great idea. Obviously, trying to maintain healthy eating habits. It's a lot easier to want to snack all the time being home. I know when the kids are in school, they have lunchtime snack maybe. So it's important to maintain that as well. Another thing that I like to work on with the teens is deep breathing, in particular belly breathing. I know that it sounds really cliche when we tell adolescents or our children just to take a deep breath, but I do think it's important to really teach some strategies that they can use in the moment. So one of my favorites is belly breathing, and I make sure that I explain it and go really into depth so they understand that they can use that skill. Another one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Another one that I really, really like is progressive muscle relaxation, which is really just a fancy term for relaxing our muscles. And I think it's really important that, adolescents and teens understand how to do that, so they're not feeling, super anxious, or during times when they are feeling stressed out. I know that they are still in school and they're required to, meet the demands of what their teachers are giving them. And it's really important that they're practicing some relaxation techniques.
Yeah. And what would you say if you wanted to talk about like the mind and the soul? Like, how do you kind of heal that during this time?
Yeah, great question. So, when it comes to the mind, I really think that talking about what's stressing you out is really, really helpful. And, a lot of people, they have really great supportive families, but sometimes you just need that outside person that's not really connected to, your family or even your friends, just an outside person that really gets it and can help you talk about whatever is stressing you out. Another thing that I really like is keeping a stress journal, and I work with a lot of my clients now on what that looks like and what that means, what they can write about, that type of thing. I also think it's important to prioritize your time and write lists of what needs to get done and when, just to have some organization around that. And then asking for help. Asking for help is not an easy thing to do. So, if you can ask for some help, and then, we can dive into it further once we start meeting.
Yeah, that's really great. And if you were like had one or two things to talk about for like taking care of your soul, what would you say were the most important?
I would say some positive self-talk. I work a lot with my clients now as to what positive self-talk is. How do we do it? It's definitely not an easy thing for anyone, adults included. So I do think it's important, to practice positive self-talk and really learn and utilize what that is. And I would say, trying some mindfulness, practice being in the present moment. I think during this time, a lot of us are really focused on whether it's the past or we're worried about the future. So being able to practice staying in the moment, and what that looks like for teens and adolescents, I think is much different than what it looks like for adults that are able to practice some mindfulness techniques.
Yeah. That's really great. I think everybody could say at this time, like, we all need all of these techniques. I mean, you're a professional, I'm a professional of like, I find myself going back to these techniques of I need to take a walk. I find myself reacting more intensely to things that would never even bother me before. And our mind just tells us, oh, I'm busy, I'm stressed, or whatever. But really, it's the situation and the lack of social isolation and the loss of routine and the fear of the unknown in the future. And we just don't realize like how good it is to take a step back and do some of these things. And if you don't know how to do them, it sounds like you would be a perfect person for the adolescent and teens to kind of contact and get this going for themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all of the adolescents and teens that I've been working with now have really had some really great successes, and I'm glad that I've been able to help them on their journey, because it isn't easy, and no one predicted this stressful time. And I think, during the adolescent and teen years, you go through a lot of changes already. So to add kind of what's going on in the world has been kind of like an added layer of stress for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I'm not sure if your audio is off.
Oh
Oh, there
no.
we go.
Oh, okay. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you to make an appointment, how would they go about doing that?
Yep. So you can find me right on forgewellsolutions.com. And if you go right to the therapist tab, I am listed there, Lindsay Marble. My phone number is directly right there on the website, as well as email address. Um, you can also, text me if that's easier. A lot of people, especially in today's day and age, prefer texting. If that's easier, kind of for the initial reach out, I don't mind, giving you a call, anything like that. So really, whatever's easiest, for you
Great.
guys. Yeah.
And what insurances do you take if people want to go through their insurance?
Sure. So right now I'm taking Blue Cross Blue Shield. I am taking Tufts. I am taking Optum, which, Harvard Pilgrim falls under that. United Behavioral Health falls under that. I'm taking Cigna Healthcare and Aetna.
Okay, great. And so I assume you're doing all your appointments this way through telehealth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so this is roundabout a little bit what it would look like. Of it's telehealth. People can contact you through the website in your various ways. Those are the insurances you're taking. Hopefully, if they're Massachusetts-based insurances, we beg our insurance companies to waive people's co-pays and deductibles during this time. So there'd be no excuse for people to prohibit them from getting the help that they need.
Absolutely. And just to touch a little bit about, the telehealth and doing sessions virtually, a lot of adolescents and teens, they have phones, they have iPads. They're really more experienced than I am with the technology piece. So a lot of them have been saying that they actually feel more comfortable being able to talk because it reminds them of like a FaceTime session. So it's been really nice to be able to connect with clients right in the comfort of their own home. I have clients that they just hang out in bed, and they chat with me right from bed or from their kitchen counter. So it's been really nice, and I've been learning a lot, technology wise from them even.
Yeah. And I find it gives me a little more flexibility, like until, right before we did this, I had a client call I don't usually do Sunday morning client calls, but I have a little more flexibility with this schedule. So,
Ooh, I think we might have lost Karen there for a minute. But what she was discussing was, the importance of having flexibility. And I think that's very, very important. The kiddos do have a school schedule that they're following. And, we can work together. I talk with a lot of my clients, right off the bat and say, like, what does this week look like for you? Do you have a lot more schoolwork that's due on Friday? Then, let's meet on a Wednesday or whatever works for them. So, I do have openings morning, afternoon, and night, and as well as some weekend appointments open as well.
great. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad people got to see you and hear you and like kind of learn a little bit about you. I really appreciate it. So thanks so much for taking some time and kind of putting this video together.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I look forward to working with anyone in the future.
Great. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.